Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
So, all right, guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. I'm super excited today. We have a local entrepreneur, my guy Frank. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So now, again, for most people that know you, right, you wear a lot of different hats, dude. You're like a fucking serial entrepreneur. So you have Shore House, Blended, and then Shore Sips coming out, right? So let's start first with Shore House, right? Because it seems like that was like the catalyst business, right? Talk to us about how that all started and stuff.
So we've been almost 15 years in business now. 2009, we got in there, and my father was owned bars for years up in Jersey City. Okay. So I grew up, playing pool with the bridge, when I was 3 years old, just like playing pinball, figuring it out, and having a good time. And when I first got out of college, I went to Monmouth. When I first got out of college, I worked for UBS Financial. Okay. I was an internal auditor for them, and I 50% travel. So 3.5 years, I was in 44 states, got to see some cool shit, and at 22, 23 years old, it was awesome. Wow. Housing market crashed, back in 09, whatever it was, and a bunch of 6-year-old people walking out with boxes, crying that they just lost their job, and I said, this is not going to be me, So they didn't fire me. I didn't make any money. So you finally get to the point where you feel like, all right, I made it. My kids are going to school. I'm paid. College is paid for. Blah blah blah, and then you're out. Right. And the whole industry was decimated. So you couldn't go from UBS to Merrill Lynch. Everything was fucked. So you had to, you had to come up with. A lot of them just went to bartending and serving. And I was like, I grew up in the industry, obviously, and that was what the catalyst was for me to take the jump. Originally was with a buddy of mine. We were going to be partners. Decided pretty early on, it wasn't right for either of us. Right. My father commuted 32 years from Bricktown to Jersey City. Wow. Back and forth every day. He's the hardest working guy you'll ever meet. Great dude. Yeah, he's the best. But I said, you know what? Let's, this enough's enough. Like let's take a 10-minute commute and let's be partners down here. And, and it was cool. And we got into, it was called the West Side Tavern at the time.
That's right. Yeah, West Side Tavern. I forgot about that.
Good old-fashioned biker bar in Point Pleasant, and a lot of great people in there. A lot of great, staff that was there that we kept, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun memories. Right. But we've turned it into something a little bit different.
Dude, I feel like that thing has become like a juggernaut, like in the best way possible. For like a business, like you know what I mean. Like you guys, like it's done so well. I feel like just number one, I remember because my parents used to go to West Side Tavern. Right. We moved down here in 06. No, I'm sorry, 03. And my parents just love that place, whatever we'd go get some like lunch and stuff there. But what's cool though is that you're like Shore House today, like is known as like a place where you're gonna go have fun at nighttime, right? But you can also go there, watch the games, hang out, and there's even on Sundays. I went there, my brother, he's so pissed off that he's not here today because he's like the biggest fan of Shore House.
Oh, I appreciate that.
He's literally obsessed, my brother and his friends, right? Brother's like 25. But one of the Sundays, so I had Johnny and then I stopped going out as much. One of the Sundays, like, just come out, we'll go to Shore House. And there was like, I don't even know what day it was. It was like last year, but there was like food just being passed around everywhere. There was a couple games on and the vibes are just so high. And I feel like it's now a nighttime, obviously pop-off spot, but also you can go get lunch there, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. So when we bought it, I was 24 years old. So all I wanted to do was get fucked up and have a good time, to be honest, so that's what we created. We created a vibe that was party and fun and, and then COVID hit, and that all went away. So we outdoor dining, turned our whole business upside down. Right. But it actually was the best thing that ever could happen to us because it forced us to think outside the box, to do things a little bit differently. And we renovated the whole place. I'm the only person crazy enough to, with business shut down, with no future in sight. I'm going to rip this whole damn place apart. So we gutted the entire place the day they shut us down. We redid the whole place. And then outdoor dining really changed what our business model. And started pumping out a ton of food. Right. And, I think if I do say so myself, we're putting out a pretty good product and people have been coming back and they enjoy it. But it made us do things a little bit differently, think about things differently. And as stressful as it was, and it was an awful time for everybody, it turned us into something that I'm really proud that we are now. It's not just a shot and beer, come in and, like we could sit around all day just waiting for 11 o'clock at night to hit. And then we would pump it for, 2.5 hours and then go home. And now it's more balanced. There's normal people, you know, that are
not just a biker.
No, you know, it's people coming in with their kids, and and it's a family atmosphere, and we're really proud of you know, we're in a great community.
Yeah, man. Oh my God. And then, but also, so one of the questions I have though too is about the bus that'll pick you up and drop you off. Is that still in operation?
Sure. Yeah, we do 7 nights a week. And so
I remember I thought that was fucking so sick when I saw that. When did you guys start that?
We've been doing it probably for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it came out of a really shitty situation. We had this guy, Patty, who was the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He came in one night, had a couple beers, like 2 beers, a pizza, whatever, went home, was driving down the street on Jordan Road, pitch black. The person in front of him pulled over. He went around, ended up hitting some 16-year-old kid and killed him. It was an awful situation.
Oh, my God.
And
then they were trying to put you guys on the hook for it?
I mean, listen, we get sued for everything. We've been sued for a lot of things. But, you know, it was that, you know, I really feel for the family. Obviously, it was, you know, I have 3 kids. I can't even imagine what they went through. So, like, it is what it is. But, you know, he blew a .081, which is 1/10 over the legal limit. And it is what it is. But that next day, it forced me into just thinking, like, you know, I try to pivot and do things that are, you know, good, you know, try to do good for people. We went out the next day
in your space.
Yeah, we went out the next day. We bought a 12-passenger van.
Yep.
We have a dedicated cell phone line for it. You call it. From 7 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll pick you up for free. We'll drop you off for free. We do it 7 nights a week. We've always
done ideas. Don't get no idea.
Call up. You can go on the website, theshorehousенj.com. Yep. There's a link for it. You click on the button, you can call.
Yeah.
You know, it calls the cell phone, and you know, get you home safe.
So, but back to your point, though, that's what I feel like I love about you as an entrepreneur, your profile, because obviously you went from the financial space to the food and bev, and then, like, you know, you don't see things really like that happen, especially like local. You'll see things like that happen in like major cities, right? Where it's like, all right, let's do some cutting edge shit and like be the DD, right? We're gonna be the DD and the fun spot, like in one. Like, it's so cool. I remember when that first launched. You know, I was at the time. 10 years ago or whatever. I was like 22, 23 or whatever.
Right.
I remember like being on, like, I literally took advantage of it, I think, a couple of times with my friends, and we're like, this feels like it's like a cheat code. Like, something feels like this is like crazy. There's no way this is real.
I mean, we've driven thousands and thousands of people home. We're on our 4th shuttle since we started because we put so many miles on these things, they just explode. But we just put our new one on the road about a month and a half ago. So we try to keep it fresh.
You know what's interesting too? You guys ever think about? I mean, I know you think about everything, but you ever thought about like getting advertisers or sponsors for like inside or around the vehicle, so like it pays for the vehicle?
Yeah, we've looked into it in the past. The problem is that as being a courtesy vehicle, a lot of places, insurance-wise, liability-wise, you go, like, you see these beer companies and stuff that are wrapped on all these things, like their insurance policy they're additionally insured on these things. We looked into it a couple times. I'd be open to it, but there's, you know, some of the companies were, in the beginning when we looked into it, we're just a little wary with like the liability of it all, you know, God forbid that an accident or whatever happens. But
I even just see, like, you know, almost like even inside, you know, when you're in like a cab in New York, like little screens and shit, I just see realtors lighting this.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I want to do is, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I want to put a dash cam on there, and do like a live stream, not a live stream, but like make like a reality show out of it, and like
fucking live thing was
Taxi Cab Confessions back in the day on HBO. You know, you're 13 years old trying to see if there's some porn that shows up on the thing. You know, like, but yeah, I mean, there's so many crazy. I can tell stories for days about some crazy stuff that I've seen, but. That it'd be cool to see some of it on video. Not too much because you can't give all the secrets away.
What? Cash Cab.
There you go.
Like, that would be sick. Oh my God, I love that actually. All right, so you know that's really cool for us. I want to talk about blended. So it's so funny. So I've literally recently become very hooked on that whole concept and just the food that you guys have there. It's funny. The one of the dudes that worked there was like, he said to me the other day, because I get like a combination of the what the hell is it called? The pulled beef.
The short rib?
Short rib, yes.
Yeah.
No, is there another one?
No. The burn ends? The burn ends pulled pork?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we get that, and then I get the chimichurri, not chimichurri, I'm sorry, the rice, the fucking, what tells it?
Oh, the kimchi rice.
Kimchi rice,
yeah.
And then I get guac and shrimp.
Yeah.
And like fucking sour. Anyway, he's like, dude, you have a weird taste.
That's flavors all over the place right there. Yeah.
But What I love though is that like every time I go and I grab a bowl or whatever, like number one, everything's so fresh, it's so delicious. But then also I always leave like not like when I finish that plate because I'm getting healthy stuff out of it. I'm always not like you know when you eat like a big lunch and you're like full and you feel like shit all day. Like I love that I leave there and I feel better and I'm not like fucking bloated all day.
Right.
You know, and like there's a bunch of options. So talk to me about what inspired you with Blended.
I have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 6, and they're active kids. We're always out doing something. There's basketball, there's soccer, there's baseball, whatever the hell, cheerleading for my little one. Like we're always on the road. And you know, it got to the point where and listen, I love Jersey Mike's. I'll eat a Jersey Mike's sandwich right now.
Yeah.
I love it. But when you feel like Jersey Mike's is your healthiest option to give your kid when you're out on the road, I felt like there was a space open for something new.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in balance and energy in life, right? Like, and I put out a lot of good stuff in Shore House, and you know, you can indulge in some other stuff that's not the best for you in the world. So like trying to balance out the other side of my life, the yin to the yang on the other side. And it's been a passion I've had for a while that I want to put out a good product that's quick service that you can get in and out and feel good about eating it. That's like our main slogan is feel good food. Like not everything in the whole place is healthy, but it's fresh, it's good, and there's plenty of healthy options that you can have, but there's something for everybody.
It's so cool. So with that, now where do you see that going? Like you plan on like franchising this out or whatever? Like it seems like a great model to do so.
Every step that I took prior to opening was to develop it so that I could replicate it and duplicate it. So I would listen, the people have to like it. I could want to open 200 of them. If nobody wants to eat it, then it could be the greatest looking place in the entire world. It doesn't make a difference if they're not coming in.
Yeah.
But we've been really fortunate to have, like yourself, like a lot of repeat customers.
Yeah.
I knew opening in the middle of the winter time, it was going to be a little bit of a struggle because just the time of year.
Totally.
But I did it intentionally so we can work out the kinks, get everything out of the way, be really operationally sound by time, you know, because I mean, the past couple, like we had that beautiful day on Monday, 60 degrees. It was a zoo, like all day. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the future for sure.
What a great plaza though, for the fact that you have Rook right there. That's always packed.
If I could do something else besides what I'm doing, I would open a Rook. Yeah. Those freaking people. I don't know what they. I don't drink coffee.
Yeah. Well, so, I normally don't either.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, it's just not my thing. I can't stand the smell of it.
Yep.
But for kudos to them and their business because it is insane the amount of people that go into that place.
It's like a cult like following.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. My wife is one of them.
And,
And now for me, like this is, for instance, like I normally don't drink coffee ever.
Right.
But I started to like sample because like now I have these twins coming and shit.
Yeah.
Going crazy. I'm like, let me just test this. But literally when I tell you, like the people, even in this company too, like in my company, everybody local that like loves coffee, like was like, I'm going to Rook. If they have the option of Starbucks, Rook, Dunkin', it's like Rook all day. It's crazy.
And it's crazy too how Point Pleasant has 2 such amazing coffee places, like between
Divvy.
Rook and Divvy Tree. Like
Love Divvy, yeah.
I didn't know there were that many people that could even drink coffee, let alone the amount of people that go in there every single day to both of those places. It's wild.
Actually, that's a good point. You know, there's enough for everybody to eat, which is wild.
And they're so efficient. Like that's what I look at things like that when I look at somebody else's business. Like how quickly they get in and out of that place is wild. So they're ordering ahead of time. They have their app locked down. It's rock solid. And they're in and out within seconds, and
Dude,
it's crazy. Yeah. So it's forcing us to keep up too. Like the people that go in there are in a quick-minded mindset. They have places to be.
Yeah.
So they can't be standing there waiting in line for 4 hours to to get lunch. Like good food takes a little bit of time, but we try to make it as streamlined as possible. And so you can, our goal is to get everybody their food within 3 to 5 minutes of coming in the building or quicker. Like that's on a slow end. So like I want people in, we do a pretty good job. We do a good job of prepping everything out, having it ready. And so you can get in and out as fast as possible.
Yeah. I've had that experience. So I don't think I've ever waited any longer than 5 minutes, at least that I can think of. I'm going to check next time just to give you the feedback.
Give me the time. Yeah, I
feedback.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
But the one thing that's really cool on that note though is that I don't even know if maybe you did this reason, maybe you didn't. But right now, what's really big with Gen Z and millennials, that a lot of clients, especially corporate companies, they are really focused on the introverted experience. Right. And so what I love, and I think, I don't know if this is why I did it or not, but the fact that you can go in and order your own meals without talking to people, right? Like you go in, you pop it on the tablet and whatever else. those types of introverted experiences are what Rook is doing well. Like as an example, Chris outside, as well as my wife and a bunch of people who get Rook from Adapting Social, they always order on the app. They get there, they don't talk to anybody. Right. So it's usually they're in and out. It's all app ordering, boom, boom, I'm in and out. Yeah. And so that's the one thing I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like to talk to people. So like I'll still use the thing, obviously, but I'll communicate with the people there. But the one thing that's really cool though is that like you don't need to. Right. And it's a benefit for a lot of these younger kids who like don't want to have conversations. They want to get into whatever, be on their phones, and leave or eat there, you know?
COVID changed a lot of people's habits. They changed a lot of people's experiences and how they interact with people. So like if Wawa and Quick Check can force people to do it regardless of their age, anybody can do it, right? Yeah. Because they're going into those places. But I don't like to completely put yourself in a box that you have to go up to the kiosk, you have to order. It's there. Yeah. People want to use them. Yeah. They can take their time. They can look through all the different options. They don't feel pressure of standing there with somebody at the register waiting there, like staring at you, like, what do you want? You know, but there's also that option. If you'd rather talk to people, I'm a friendly guy myself. I don't like to go and sit there and push buttons. I want to know. I want to see the stuff. I want to see what it looks like. I want to talk to the people that are there. Yeah. You could do that too. So it's best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's great. Now, what are your thoughts on how do you feel about people checking themselves out at grocery stores? Where do you lay on this? There's like two massive different opinions.
I think the greatest,
where do you lay?
One of the greatest stand-ups I've ever seen was Sebastian Maniscalco's skit on this, when he's like, you know, I'm from an Italian family. Like, that's, so it really resonates with me. But his thing where he was like, I'm in there in the middle of the night memorizing UPC codes. I'm not going to be the one that's holding up the line. You know, he's helping bananas 0467, whatever. You know, like it is an inevitable truth that it's a necessary evil that is everywhere, and we're not getting away from it. No, I try at all costs to continue to go up to the people that are working there. Right. You try to keep as many people working as possible. Yeah. It's difficult these days with where minimum wage is and how much everything costs, but but you know, the more you can interact with people, that's always what I try to do.
I'm the same way, but the one thing that really fucking just grinds my gears on it is that, like, in theory, right? Like when you go and you're checking yourself out, right? So like technically they were paying somebody to do that. Right now I'm doing it. Right. Why is there not a discount? Yeah. Right. Even if it's something stupid, right? Like you get 15, I got to pay 50 cents for a bag, right? But why would, if I'm doing a job you're paying somebody to do before, but now I'm doing it myself, why is there no incentive, right? That's the one thing for me that doesn't make sense.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle, as they say. So
no, it's done.
People got used to paying a certain price, right? When in COVID, and everybody's like, oh, it's because of COVID, it's because of this, it's because of shortages, it's because of this, and people aren't going to businesses are not going to voluntarily lower their prices back down. Right. People got used to paying a certain amount for things, and they're going to ride it as long as, the only way it's going to change is if people stop buying the product. Right. But you need all the shit that you need, so it's just not going to happen.
And the thing that stinks though, actually the thing I liked, like the other day I had to run to Walmart real quick. There's only 2 lanes open and a gazillion people there. Right. At the brick one. And the self-checkout was just flying. Yeah. Right. And that's, I guess, the benefit, in and out. Whereas in those other lanes, I'm like, oh, I don't want to fucking sit here and wait.
And everybody's so used to using it now. They know how to use them. They get in and out pretty quickly. There's not as many people just staring at the screen blankly like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, like they can figure it out.
At this point, we're all trained employees.
Yeah, exactly. They got what they wanted. Yeah.
So I'm gonna zig here a little bit before I go back to zagging here with business. But I want to talk about family stuff for a second. So, obviously you're a father of 3, obviously a husband and stuff, work with your father. What is something that from your father that you learned that you want to like essentially repeat for your children?
There's not enough time on this podcast for me to go through everything that he's taught me. Yeah. But the thing that I'll always take from him is his work ethic. He's the hardest working human being that you'll ever see. Yeah. My grandfather died when my dad was 10 years old.
Oh my God.
He raised his 3 younger sisters. Yeah. My grandmother walked across the street, got a job at FTP Insurance, which was a brand new insurance company in Jersey City across the street. She was their first employee. Right. She worked full time until she was 96 years old.
Wow.
The company grew into $1 billion company, had an entire complex in Old Bridge, and at 96 she was the one that signed the checks for the the insurance claims. That was her whole job, but they never let her go. They kept her for her forever. Wow. And she set the example for the family. My dad follows in those footsteps, but the thing about my father that's so incredible is that he makes you feel good. Everybody that walks in feels like he is their best friend, that he connects with people. There's certain people that connect with people, right? There's certain people you meet and you never think about them again for the rest of your life.
Right.
And there's certain people that just, you never forget them when you meet them.
Right.
And the amount of people that call my dad like Uncle Frank, or they're like, they have no idea who the fuck he is, like in real life. Right. But in the bar, he's their best friend in the entire world.
Right.
And he truly does feel that way. Like it's not a show. Like
it's just him.
It's him. He cares about and appreciates every single person that walks in the door.
Right.
And he is the reason why we're here. Like we all have our roles. Like I'm proud of my accomplishments and what I've done, but none of this is possible without him, and that's for sure.
That's amazing, man. Now, a lot of people, so once we put out to our listeners that you were going to be on, a lot of people asked, that locally that knew you guys, asked what are some of the challenges you face having a family business and the dynamics between working father-son, and obviously you have brothers, and at times they were all working together too.
Yep.
What has been, because a lot of people in business, especially with family, my wife is my CFO, right? And we work so well together, and it just works. And people are like, I could never work with my wife. You guys are fucking nuts. Right. But it works for us. I don't know. Sure. So it's just us. But people are curious from you guys how you navigate the chaos, because food and bev is nuts for the most part. It's 24/7 operation in most cases. How do you navigate that?
So you have to trust each other.
Yeah.
And you have to let each other be who they are. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, my father and I really get along well because we let each other do whatever the fuck we want. Right. Like if it's, I don't like to say no if it's something that he wants to do and try it, and vice versa. If it's something I want to do and try it, we've never said no to each other. Right. It's like, let's try it. Let's go for it. Like you have to, but you also have to have a certain level of trust in order to be able to do that. Right. If you don't believe that what they're doing is correct, you can't do that. So we've had the fortune of both being pretty good at what we do, and being allowing each other to have our own space, allowing each other to do our own thing. Yeah. My brothers and I worked together for a long time. I was partners up in Asbury for years. Yep. And the thing with us is we're very similar, my brothers and I, right? Yeah. So we decided kind of along the way we'd rather have Christmas than business, right? Like And I was up in Asbury last night talking to my brother about stuff. We're still really close. Yeah. We're still involved with each other in a lot of different things. We help each other out all the time. But on a day-to-day operational basis, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to do. Yeah. And I'm not an easy person to work with. Right. I'm pretty freaking stubborn, and I want things the way I want them. Right. And when my brothers were younger, it was like, okay, this is how we're doing it, you know? But they grew into some really awesome dudes that are really good at what they do in their own right. And
now they're stubborn and they want their
everybody believes that they're right, whether you're right or wrong. Nobody thinks they're right and goes, maybe I'm wrong. Like, like that's not usually the way it works. Right. But the good thing is that with my brothers and I, we just made the decision that what was best for us. Like we each have our own things that are doing really well. Yeah. My brother Matt's open down in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. He's got a million other things going on. Good. My brother Chris just signed a record deal. He just released an album. His song got played in the UK yesterday on some radio station.
Wow, let's go.
Luckily, like things are going pretty well for us.
Everybody's moving.
Yeah, we're all and we really root for each other. Like we all want each other to do well. I think that's where there's no jealousy. There's no bitterness towards anybody. We all want to see each other succeed.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. And it's so, in most family dynamics, it's not the case always. So it's really cool that you guys did that. Clearly,
our parents would never allow us to do that. Like no matter how much, like we could fight with each other. Like even since we were little kids, like my brothers are 5 years younger than me. So there's a big age gap. They're really close in age. Yeah. But they're 5 years between us. Yeah. But since we were little kids, like we could fight each other. We could beat the shit out of each other. It didn't matter. But once somebody came in and was trying to mess with one of us,
done.
It's a saying. Like I found this little video of my daughter when she was like a little kid, and her thing was she said like, if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. The Gullace family's on top of the world. I don't even remember saying that, but like she was, that was her. So I'm trying to instill that in my kids. I don't even realize it, but our circle is tight and it's tough to get in there for sure.
I love that. You mess with one of us, mess with all of us. Speaking of your kids, so what is something, this is where you know, obviously we talk about legacy a little bit more, but you know, with your kids, like if you weren't in a room, right, and somebody goes, "What's your dad like?" Right? What would they say?
I hope they say he's a kind person that really cares about us. Like, I'm a father first. Like all these other things that I do in my life, I'm a father and a husband first.
Yeah.
None of it matters. If the home's not right, none of it's right. Like,
facts.
I have an incredible wife that holds it down at home and allows me to like be obnoxious in things that I want to try and do. And like, you know, she's never said, no, I don't think that works. Like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's always like, I trust you. If you think it's the right move, then go for it. So to have my wife, Lauren, be by my side like that really sets a foundation for me to be able to go and do these things that I want to try. Right. But my kids are the most important thing to me in the entire world. I try to let them be them though. Like I tell them all the time, like, you don't have to own the Shore House when you get older. You don't have to own Blended. You can do whatever you want to do. Right. Like, if that's what you want to do, great, work for it. Yeah. And there's a path for that. Right. But be yourself. And you know, you don't have to be they don't have to be what they think we want them to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like so many times you're like, parents are just trying to force their kids into something that they think they should do, what they think they're good at, what they think will set them up for success in the future. And it's going to work itself out. Like, just let them be kids first. Let them have fun. Like, go play basketball, go play soccer, fuck around, have a good time. Yeah. But you have to slowly instill morality and confidence, because if they have those things, then all the other stuff will come. But they have to be good people to start. So that's our main goal right now, is to not make them be little assholes that grow up like some of the people that we get to meet every day. Yeah, man. You know what? And dude, you know what? So my father-in-law says to me when I asked for his blessing to marry my wife, he said to me, he's like, listen, marriage is really hard. Yeah. And he said, but you know, what's also really, really hard is raising your kids, right? And especially, you know, being a business owner and being, you know, entrepreneurs and stuff, you know, you kind of have the ability to give your kids things that you didn't have when you were younger. Sure. And he just shared how, like, don't do that. Like, you know, and if you don't raise your kids right when they're little, you'll have big kids for the rest of your life. Yeah. And I think to your point, like, just having that freedom to be a kid and not worry about the heavy pressures of shit yet, it's important, you know? You know, so it's something that I think is so important. I said to my daughter yesterday after basketball, or 2 days ago, whenever the hell it was, she was upset. They played an older team. Yeah. They got beat up. You know, she was upset on the court. She was looking over at her mom. Her mom coaches her. Yeah. She was looking over at me. And after the game, I said, listen, you have to understand something, that it's okay to disappoint us. Yeah. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Right. Like, I'm the oldest child. Like, me too. The pressure on the oldest child. Yeah. If you're not the oldest in your family, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't understand it. You'll never understand it. But to have the oldest kid pressure. Right. You know, and so she's my oldest, and like always trying to be the good example for her brother and sister, the do things the right way. You know, your first kid, you pay attention to them a lot. Yeah. You don't have anything else to do. You're focused, and you're, you know, so you're really, they're the guinea pig. By the third one, like, I know what's going to keep her alive and what's dangerous. Like, she has way more freedom than her older sister had. So they don't feel that same pressure. So I said, it's okay to disappoint us. It's okay to do things wrong every once in a while. It's okay to have a bad game. It's okay to get a bad grade on a test. Yeah. How do you respond to the bad? Right. Is what's important. Like, if you let it spiral out of control, one saying that we say all the time is that it's very easy to go into a downward spiral in life. We try to create an upward spiral in our life. So like, it's the first step of, like, when you hit the bottom, right? What's your first step to get you spinning back up again? Right. Like, how do you pivot from the bad and get it to the good? And that's something that we really try to focus on with our kids. That's so cool, man. I heard something. I'm trying to instill all this stuff right now, because obviously my son's 15 months old. Sure. My twins in the way, like I told you earlier. Yeah. And you know, I want them to have that mentality where failure is okay, right? Yeah. Disappointment is okay. Yeah. Right? It's all building blocks. But there was this one thing I heard from, you hear of Stephen Covey? No, I'm not familiar. So he has the book called 7 Principles of Successful, 7 Habits of Successful. Oh yeah, I'm familiar with the book. Yeah. So in a nutshell, he talks about how he would sit down at the dinner table and ask, like, what did you fail at today? Right. Like, as it's a good thing. I've heard that. Yeah. I love that. Yep. So like what you're saying, like, how, like, hey, it's okay to disappoint us. Like, it's fine. Like, I love that, dude, because like that's what's gonna help them and make them feel. Adam Sandler, who is like one of my favorite actors, I love all his movies. I'm a corny movie guy. I like the funny shit that he does. Same. And he talked about in an interview how his dad literally
essentially said what you just said there,
right?
Like in a nutshell, like, yeah, listen, go have fun. Because apparently he got fired from SNL, right? And then the guy from SNL was like, I don't think you're funny enough to have like a comedy career. So like we were kicking you off the show, but maybe go try to do something else. And he went to his dad. He said, I'm just gonna try to start making my own movies. And his dad's like, go do it. Yeah, if it doesn't work, you can come back and work with me.
Yeah, who cares?
And he was just like, it doesn't matter. And boom, look at this guy, 300 million in box office plus, like he's worth billions now. And it's like, but like when you, like you said, he said his dad gave him the confidence, to just go do it.
People only see everybody's highlight reel, especially with like social media and all that stuff, right? So like people look at me and go, oh, he's got some good businesses, he's doing some cool, whatever. Like I put great pictures up of my kids.
Yeah.
That's not what, there's plenty of times where they're laying on the ground screaming, crying, and you're like, you feel like the worst dad or, parent in the world. Like we all have those moments, right? Totally. But you only see the good stuff.
Right.
So like if I failed at way more things in my life than I've been successful at.
Yeah.
But you got to keep trying. Like it's the only way to do it is to just keep moving, keep going forward and try something else.
You're a hockey guy, right?
I like hockey. I played soccer.
Is it one of your brothers that like hockey?
My brother, my one brother is.
Oh, all right. Because I remember seeing one of your brothers. But, I'm going to, a little Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Speaking of soccer, so are you like a soccer coach? I saw someone on your feed the other day.
Yeah, I coach my daughter. I coach my daughter and my son, and eventually my youngest one, which gets cool, man. Too, so yeah.
So what's your advice for people out there who are parents that like are wanting to consider becoming a coach for their kids? Now I asked that question because I've had you ever see the pod or the account called Johnny Drinks?
Yeah. So
we've done some work with them with our Commodity, my Commodity business.
Right.
And also I've had him on the podcast. And his father, John Sr., was like, I was his football coach and my wife fired me because of how hard I was on him.
Yeah.
Never coach my kids again.
Yeah.
You just see such different things where it's like one's like amazing, I love it, it's the best. Then like he said that, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't coach. What's your take on it for you? Clearly your wife's doing it too.
Yeah. You have to be honest with yourself of like what you want out of it, right? Like what's your goal? Like I can't, like my father was my coach growing up.
Okay.
And
soccer, you say?
Soccer, basketball, like whatever sport. I played 1,000 sports as a kid. I played every sport you could think of. But he was always my coach, and I really enjoyed having him as my coach, right? And you have to learn from the good and change what you would change, right? Like if you continuously just say, I'm going to do this because this was what was done when I was a kid, you're not going to be successful at it. Kids are different.
Yeah.
People are different. You have to be able to communicate. If you're not an effective communicator, if you don't know how to get your point across without yelling and screaming and being, then you shouldn't coach because kids today no longer respond to that kind of coaching.
Totally.
You have to be able to tell them why. Even these little kids, right? Like my son's 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I'll never tell them anything without telling them why we're doing it, right? Because if they understand it, they're more willing to do it.
Right.
If it's just because like I'm not a big because I said so kind of guy. I want to know why to everything. Still to this day, I'm 40 years old. If you tell me something and I'm not sure, I'm going to say why. It's my favorite question in the world because I have to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And then I can buy into it.
Right.
But if I don't know why you're doing it, then I can't buy in. Right.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to just make sure your kid plays and do all that stuff, then you shouldn't coach. My son, I purposely did not start him on our team for soccer.
Right.
Because my example is everybody has to work hard to get into this game, right? Like nothing's given to anybody.
Right.
So he's a good little athlete. All my kids are pretty good at sports. They love doing it. That's all I really care about. Do they enjoy it? Do they ever say I don't want to go to practice? I don't want to do this? Not really. No. Yeah. In all the times, they're always excited to go.
Yep.
But I do it because I love affecting young kids' lives. Like I had some incredible coaches growing up. Timmy Fouth was my coach at Monmouth. He was one of the greatest guys in the world. Sean Moynihan in high school was my high school coach. I have all the way down the line from when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
These people made tremendous impacts. Paul Prendergast karate that I went to when I was a kid, he's still open in Brick and Tom's River. These people made tremendous effects on my life and gave me a foundation that I still call on to this day of lessons that they taught me, work ethic that they instilled in me along with my dad. And I want to be that for other people. I want when these kids are old enough to have their first drink at Shore House when they're 21 years old, and I pour them their first drink. They go, Coach, I appreciate everything you did for me. Like it has to be bigger than just the sport itself. I don't coach. I love soccer.
Right.
I love sports. I don't coach because I want to teach these kids how to play sports. I want to affect their lives in a positive way.
That's amazing, man. I love that. What's your soccer team?
So it's funny because I grew up in a traditional American household. Like my dad's from Jersey City. He never touched a soccer ball a day in his life. So he was a football, basketball, baseball player.
Yeah.
Like I don't watch much soccer.
Okay, I got it.
I'll
like
watch
sport.
I love playing it. I still play to this day.
Yeah.
I love U.S. national team games.
Okay.
Like I say I'm a Manchester United fan, but I don't really even follow too much like that kind of. My kids are all giant Messi fans now, so we watch Miami games and all that stuff. Like everybody else in the United States right now. But
are you team Messi or Ronaldo? If you had to pick, who's better?
I like Messi better.
Yeah.
How could it doesn't make you're splitting hairs.
I know.
If Ronaldo was in the United States, he'd be showing everybody that how great he is. You just don't see him. You don't see him like you see Messi. So that's the only difference.
Yeah. So all right. So on our last topic here, talk to me about the shore sips. I think this is gonna blow up. I'm really excited to hear more about it. So people are like, what the hell is a shore sip? Let's hear it.
So my best friend from growing up, Jay Servi, we were at an event over the summer at Bar A, and he's going, you know what I really want to do? I want to make a drink that's not like a seltzer, but not carbonated and not overly sweet, right? So being in the bar business, those are our number one and number two complaints right now of stuff is that they can't take the bubbles anymore. They're bloated, and everything's so damn sweet that they can only drink one or two of them, right? So he brought this idea to me. He goes, I want to do this thing called Shore Sips, and I was like, I love it. And the next day, I started making phone calls. We found a company that'll make it, Meta Brand up in Edison, New Jersey. They're a local company, and we've been working since August, and we're almost set to go live. So what it is it's a vodka water-based cocktail.
Yep.
We have 4 flavors: blood orange, peach, pineapple. Blood orange, peach, cucumber, and watermelon.
Okay. Peach sounds fire.
They're unbelievable. So they're not carbonated.
Right.
They're a combination. Like in between like a hint water and a Propel, right? There's way more flavor than hint water, but it's not syrupy like a Propel.
Okay.
There's electrolytes in there. They're 2 of them are 90 calories.
Yep.
2 of them are 80 calories.
Okay.
The cucumber has no carbs, no sugar. The watermelon and the peach have the highest. There's 3 grams of carbs and 2 grams of sugar in each one of those. So it's super low sugar, super low carbs. Just picture sitting out on a boat or sitting on the beach on a hot summer day and drinking a lot of these because they're coming soon.
Oh, I can't wait, man. Peach sounds great. Now, for people out there, so we got some questions on the stuff. So if somebody wanted to open up their own bar, right? So the question essentially was, what advice would you give? But I'm gonna spice it up a little bit.
Yep.
If you were to go back to 2009, right, in a time machine, right? And go see Frank in 2009, right before starting with Dad, at the Shore House. What advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know now?
So something I would have done. I wish I did when we first bought it. The owner of the Idle Hour at the time came over and he said, "Let me tell you something. If you want to do something every night, keep a journal and write down all the stuff that happened that night."
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, in 10 years from now, you're going to have the best-selling book ever written in the United States, in the world. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm 20. I didn't listen to him.
Yeah.
And I wish I did, because some of the stuff that's happened over the years is pretty wild, and you wouldn't really believe it. But
can only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some stuff. But what you have to understand is, as for any business, whether it's the bar business, whether it's any business, is that it is the same as having a child.
Right.
There are no days off. There's no time off.
Yep.
There's no paychecks.
Right.
The money only comes in if the money comes in.
Right.
So my dad told me before we started all this stuff, he said, it's like a roller coaster ride. There's going to be times where you're on the top and you feel like nothing's ever going to ever could stop you. And then there's ways when you're on your way down and you feel like the whole world's collapsing. He said, but it's going to come back up again, right? So you have to stay positive, stay consistent. Like one of my main sayings with in my own mind that I try to tell myself all the time is to stay consistent through the chaos, right? So like keep your process in place.
Yeah.
Do the things that got you here over and over again.
Yeah.
And work at it every day. But I mean, I was there 20 hours a day. When I first took over, I had to keep my job at UBS Financial.
Okay.
Because they needed the income for me to get the loan to buy the business, right? So I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was driving to Weehawken. Yep. I was working 8 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I was coming home. I was sleeping from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night.
Yep.
I was going into the bar.
Yeah.
I was working from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Wow.
I was closing up, and I did that for 6 months.
Wow.
So you have to really believe in what you do.
Yeah.
You have to really have a true passion for it. I've heard 1,000 people say to me over the years, like, I would love to open a bar, because they like drinking in a bar. You know, like they like being in a bar.
Right.
Like,
different.
what you see, the final product is not what goes into it.
No,
it's hard. I have a great team of people. I'm really fortunate. It took me a long time to find these people and to get them into place.
Right.
But I had my family, I had my brother, so we always had each other to get through it. Like, hey, I'm dead. I worked 5 days in a row. I'm on 100 hours plus already. I need to go home for a little while. Can you come in? Sure. You know, it was always like, we've always done that for each other. But I wouldn't, to answer your question directly though, I would not change anything that I've done.
Okay.
And I know people say that and it sounds cliche, but I've learned a lot of really valuable lessons from some really bad mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
And I think that I wouldn't be here today and have the ability to continue to do what I'm doing if I didn't learn a lot of those things. So, but I know the dedication and the time it takes. I would probably tell myself not to drink so much.
Right.
Because I mean, I was fucked up 7 days a week for 8, until my kids started to get a little bit older. But like, that's what we were doing. We were building a community. We were building our own little shore house family in there. And in order to do that, the only way I knew how to do it was let's have a drink, let's have a shot, let's do this. And you know, today, if I never had a sip of alcohol again for the rest of my life, I couldn't care less. I drank so much in my life that I don't need, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm all good.
Listen, I like to go out and have a good time just like the rest of us, but I don't need it. I don't need it. And like, that's the biggest change. I probably would have told myself to slow down a little bit.
On that part.
Just a little bit.
Now, but are you somebody who gets you get bad hangovers or no?
Dude, you'll find out.
When you were doing that.
You'll find out. No, I never got hungover in my life. In your 20s, you don't get hungover.
You're done, yeah.
Your 30s, you get like a day, 1 day hangover, maybe 2 if it's like a really bad night. Now it's like a 5-day hangover. Like I'll drink 1 day and I can't even go work out again till like the 4th day. I'm like eating, Pat's cheesesteaks and pizza just to like try to make myself feel better. But hangovers suck, and that's the main reason why I don't even want to fucking do it. Because the kids get you up at 6:30 in the morning every day, no matter what. They're up. They're ready to go. They don't care that you're hungover. It's like, get up, and now my kids know when I'm drunk. They know when I'm hungover. So it's not even as much fun. I can't even hide it because they bust my balls out. Like, oh, you had too much fun last night, Dad. It's not even worth it anymore.
Dude, oh my God.
But yeah, the hangovers are brutal.
Brutal. So, all right. So I want to end off on 2 things. So I think you kind of said it before, but I'm gonna bring you into kind of like an exercise that we do here. It's about legacy again. The only way, like most people, we look at legacy is where your feet are planted here today, what you've done, and what you want to be remembered by. So I want to reverse engineer it, right? So the one thing that's going to supersede you, your kids, their kids, right, is obviously your gravestone. Of course, paraphrasing. If you were to write that today, right, what would that say? Reading that.
Yeah. I think that's something I've always really took pride in for myself is my loyalty.
Yeah.
If you are good to me, I'll go to the end of the earth for you. Yeah. I have a really good group of friends, some friends from grammar school, like I said, my buddy Jay, that we're going into business with, my great group of friends from high school, a couple really good friends from college, and they know that I would do anything in the entire world for them because they would do the same for me, right? So I think that what I said before about my father, I hope that eventually I can get to that point too, where it's like that I made people feel a certain way, that I made people feel that I cared about them, that I made people feel that they trusted me, and that they appreciated, the efforts that I make to help them also.
That's awesome. I fucking love that, man. And then the second to last one is, has there been any quote or adage? It could be a Frank original, a Frank Senior original, or something you just saw when it comes to resilience. Is there anything that stands out to you, you've heard or seen over the years? And I'll give you the reason why I like to ask this. So when I was first starting my first company, Adapting, I was sitting there, I was 17 years old, my parents' basement, trying to start this thing. And I was Googling like, what can I find that'll motivate me through the hard times? Because I knew I was already getting rejected left and right. On door knocking and brick to all these businesses. So I found this quote, and to this day, I still have it, and I have it in my closet now. So I see it every day when I wake up for the past 15 years, right? But it reads, live a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't.
That's awesome.
And my mentality around it is like, in order for me, like you just said, you wouldn't change anything because your struggles developed, a different muscle you didn't have, whether that's, for financial growth, leadership, whatever. So for me, that was always such a big thing. Has there been anything like that for you that you just like, I love that?
So when I was a little kid, on my mirror, my mom found this quote. It was a Nike quote, actually, that I used for sports when I was younger, but then it kind of like, it's still something that I always remember. It's the power to win lies in the will, make it happen, right? So like, you can only get there if you will it to happen. Like people want a lot of things, right? But people aren't always willing to work for those things, right? Totally. As soon as they hit that first roadblock, as soon as they hit that first stumble, this is too hard, and they're done with it.
Right.
You have to make things happen. If you want them, there's been times where I failed at things because I knew that I wasn't totally bought in, right? I liked the idea of it, but I didn't really believe it. Like I only work on things now that I truly believe in, that I truly believe are going to be good for myself, for my family, for all the legacy and all those things that everybody talk about. Like, I only want to, I want to do things that I believe in.
Yeah.
I believe in what I'm doing right now.
Right.
There will be more things that come up over time that, I'll continue to grow and expand on. I don't ever like to be looked at somebody that's just a bar owner or just a restaurant owner or just, whatever. Like, I just want to be me, right? Yeah. I want to do what makes me happy. It's a journey. It's for sure. Like, there's no, like, the one thing I wish I learned when I was younger, like, you think of like 40 as like, you're almost done with life, right? Like when I was a little kid, I thinking back on like when people are 40 years old, I'm like, man, they're the oldest people in the world. Like their life is done. Like, and I truly feel like I'm just getting started in what I want to do. Yeah. And everything that I've done so far, I appreciate, and I'm looking forward to what's coming next because I still feel like I'm just getting started with what I'm doing.
That's awesome, man. Well, Frank, listen, dude, it's been so amazing to have you here. I've obviously seen you around, worked at Shore House in the past on some projects.
Yep.
Everybody I feel like locally in the Ocean, Monmouth County area knows your family for like just the great stuff you guys have done in the bar business. You obviously now venturing out in different spaces. And, what I want to say though is I'm just, you are building places like Shore House that make, when you think about memories and moments in people's lives and they think about, I had a great time. A lot of my friends at least have had great times at Shore House and they think about those things. So number one, I'm grateful for what you do for the community, right? As well as what you said earlier about kids, because not every kid goes back home to love, So when they're with you at soccer or your wife at basketball or different sports, like this is what's helping these kids kind of like that don't get the parenthood that you have or that I want to instill in my kids. So I just appreciate what you're doing for the community from a business perspective as well as just an impact perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. We just got the Lifetime
Leadership
Award.
Let's go.
For Point Pleasant, which was really cool. And the thing I said in the acceptance speech was that we're very fortunate to be able to experience so many moments in people's lives. Like that's the one thing that I think when it's all said and done, I'll appreciate the most. Yeah. Is that somebody's birthday, somebody's baptism, somebody's funeral, all these goods and bads that everybody, they're there and they don't notice that we're noticing, right? Or that we're involved, because people are involved in their own lives, right? They're dealing with their own stuff. And I appreciate the fact that I get to see that. I get to feel that with people. I get to experience a lot of emotions and a lot of life with people. And it's really cool. And like on a personal level for you, like we met with you guys however many years ago, where were you up in Red Bank, right? Or something, your original office, right? Yeah. And I'm like, and we couldn't afford anything that you guys were doing at the time. I didn't have two pennies to rub together. Right. But I remember leaving that meeting going, these guys are really good. And their energy that you guys put out to what you guys do is amazing. And there's no doubt that the success you guys are having, I knew that was coming when I met you all those years ago. So congratulations to you guys also for, what you guys are doing. Keep it up.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, dude. And you know what? It's like, it's meeting people like you that drive me, like that are like want to build this, these businesses for your family, for your own lifestyle. But I remember, one last quick story. When I was early on, when I was 17, there was one particular business that ignited a fire under my ass. And I don't know if I shared this earlier, but I started AS because my parents were going to foreclose on their house. And so I was like, what can I do to help? Right. So anyway, I started building websites. I found that. And, but I didn't love marketing or websites at that time. Like, I just did it because I was like, oh, you can make some decent money doing this.
Right.
There was this one lady. So she has 4 kids, right? She lived up in Elizabeth, and she had 4 kids. And one day her husband just up and left, right? And he was the breadwinner. She stayed home mom.
Right.
Fast forward, she loses her house, moves in to a 2-bedroom apartment with her sister, her husband, and their 2 kids, with her 4 kids, living in the living room essentially, right? And so at the time when I met her, she was already on the up and up. But the story when she told me this whole thing was essentially, being there for 2 years, her kids going to new school systems, like, Mom, why are we here? Like, could you imagine, like, your kids looking at you like, Dad, like, why are we living at Uncle Chris's house? Like,
right.
Like, why can't we go home? Like, that's what where's Dad? And so she's in this crazy depression and funk. And her sister, like, because at the time in Elizabeth, it was near like some sort of gym. And she's like, go to the gym. Like, I'm going to get you a membership. Go to the gym, get out of the house, like, get yourself moving. You're in this funk. So at the gym one day, long story short, she's sitting there and this guy behind her is working out with the trainer and is like, I want to eat healthier, but all the healthy food tastes like shit and whatever. So long story short, this guy, she says, oh, like, I can cook and, do certain foods and whatever else that'll be healthy, but also taste good. Long story short, this guy's a fucking investor.
Right.
Winds up helping her and started to build this like meal prep business at that time. And long story short, she started building it up in I think the up North Jersey area. And, it was doing pretty good for herself, but she got her family out of that scenario.
Right.
She started building, her own, nest egg again, got a house, put her kids in private school and stuff. And that was what put a fire in my ass or in my belly, because like literally at the end of the day, it's like, wow, like those types of people are the people that move and shift the world. And it's like so many people, you ever hear the saying, ready, aim, fire?
Yeah.
I believe people like you, me, her, and entrepreneurs that are like that, I think we're all fucked up in the head.
Yeah,
Personally,
sure.
We're fucked up in
the
head.
No doubt, yeah.
But that whole, what I learned from her is that it's not ready, aim, fire, right? It's ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
I heard that somewhere, and for me, it's like, stop waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah.
So many people are always waiting for the perfect things, but anyway, nonetheless.
Do I have time for one more?
Yeah.
So my dad, to talk about my dad one more time, when we grew up, he had a bar up in Jersey City, and he had a laundromat right here in Point Pleasant Beach on Grove Street. It's not there anymore because it burned down. And my dad, we were a victim of insurance fraud, right? So he didn't have any insurance, and we ended up losing the laundry, our house, and my dad's business, right? No. So when I was going into high school, I was sleeping on a mattress in my grandma's house.
Really?
And my father, who is, you talk about work ethic and heart, and these are personal stories, but like, if it could help somebody else to think about it, then it's worth it. But like, he started driving a taxi cab.
Wow.
He bartended at Main Street USA, which is up like towards Ocean, right? And without anything not a penny, without anything in the world, he rebuilt himself. He got to the point where he got back on his feet. He opened a new bar up in North Bergen, Union City, and rebuilt it. And that moment taught us that, you talk about a roller coaster ride, you're up and down, right? Like I didn't think it was coming back up at a certain point. But, I remember, being a young kid and seeing, first of all, the pressure that he was under, right? Because I couldn't imagine feeling that especially having kids now and seeing that he, what he had to go through. But the determination and the ability to just say, without even a hesitation or ever letting us see that he was down on himself or never missed a beat, said, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to get us back on track. And by himself, with the help of my mother, obviously, who is the most incredible human being on the planet for a lot of different reasons, but especially for putting up with him.
Mama G.
But that together, they never once let us feel like we were missing anything, that we couldn't do something. And I know what the struggle was now looking back on it. But
were your brothers around at that time, or is it just you?
Yeah. So my brothers were in like grammar school, like 5th or 6th grade, somewhere around there. And I was like going into like my, going into like my freshman year in high school, somewhere around there. So I was old enough to kind of understand what was going on, and that I'm sleeping in grandma's house and stuff, but whatever. But it didn't last long. I mean, he got us, we got a new house. It brought us way closer together too. We were the ones painting the rooms and fixing the stuff and doing all, and it really, you talk about us against the world mentality.
Yeah.
That was for sure one of those moments. Dude,
that's so incredible. We got to get this guy in the pod.
You want to go viral on this thing? You bring him on. He could talk for days.
Dude, we got to get him on.
Yeah, he's the best. But I mean, he's what he does too, and I think that, the last piece of advice that I would give anybody is surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know I forget the exact quote, but it's like you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So like if you surround yourself with positive, energetic people that have a good outlook on life, and you're going to get there.
Yeah.
If you're always around negative people, and life can be what you make it if you work for it. So be with the right people.
I love your dad's story, man. I love obviously your story, and the one thing that I love about that one, particularly about the laundromat going and stuff, is especially in the world we live right now, right? Social media, like you said, we're watching everybody's highlight reels. Right. We're seeing somebody, live in a crazy mansion or drive crazy cars or wear crazy watches, whatever. And these younger kids see it and they're like you said, they're watching the highlight, but they're not even remotely close to that. So they're like all depressed and shit.
Yeah.
But what I love about that story that you don't see that advertised on Instagram,
right?
Which is this guy went and did not look at driving a taxi cab as beneath him. He looked at it as, I got to do this for my family.
Sure.
I'm just going to fucking do it. And I love that story because at the end of the day, the comeback is always better than the setback.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Yeah.
And so looking at that story, it's like, that's the thing I think, we got to instill in our kids for Gen Alphas is that like the grit of going to that place where your dad went.
Yeah.
Most people in this generation right now would be depressed out of their mind, be going to therapy, be like seeing things like my life is ending. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yep.
But literally another Sebastian Maniscalco example where he talks about like how his dad's been miserable for his whole life.
Yeah, right.
It's like, it's like depressed. I've been depressed my whole life.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like everybody's so soft now, But stories like that, I love the thought of just like, because my dad had a situation like that. He was in construction. But I know so many of those stories for our parents' era where it was like you're sleeping on the floor at this place because, you lost a house or you're doing this. So anyway, my only advice to everybody out there, that's watching this, that's, whether you're in college or even if you're a little bit older, is that, when you look at the people, right? Is your family like first or second generation in America or third?
My grandfather came from Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my dad and his parents came directly from Portugal.
Right.
Like, they're English is my dad's second language technically.
Right.
And it's crazy to think about like uplifting and going somewhere completely different. So what did your ancestors have to do, right? So for us, it's like one, it's like our grandparents plus, but like for our kids, eventually it's like boom, boom, boom. It's like so far.
Yeah.
It's like, think about what they had to go through. Like, it's crazy. Like some of these people were on boats like for months to get here. Point being is I just love your dad's story and I think it's so amazing. And where can people find you guys? So if somebody's listening to this and maybe they're not in Jersey, but they're like, oh, I want to learn more about these guys, or if they are local or maybe they're in New York, come down for the summer. Tell us where they can find Shore House, Blended, the whole thing, website, socials, everything.
Yeah, Shore House is at the Shore House NJ, like New Jersey, www.theshorehousenj.com. And Blended is at Blended is Fresh, and same thing for the website, blendedisfresh.com.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much,
coming
man.
Soon.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you having me.
Let's go.